And our message today is out of Deuteronomy chapter 4. Starting at verse 14, going down to verse 19. And the message is about idols. So I say, and the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments. This is Moses speaking to the people. He says, God commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. He said, okay, so I'm teaching you what you need to do when you get to the promised land. This is important. Why is it important to us? Well, God's getting us ready for the promised land. The promised land is not Canada. The promised... I'm from Canada, but it's not the promised land. It's cold for one thing. But anyway, what's the point? The point is, he's getting us ready for the promised land too. And the promised land is different for each and every one of us. The promised land is that place where you're doing what you always wanted to do, where you have peace, where you have joy, where you have fulfillment, you have health. You could say you got it all. The work you always wanted to do. See, we all got to work. But what everybody really hasn't figured out is you might as well find what you enjoy, and you can always adjust your budget to it. But some people are working just for the money. They're miserable. It's like, this is no way to live. That's not what God called us to. But anyway, that was just an unadvertised special. So we're coming back, and it's like he's teaching us what we need to do when we get to the promise. When do we get to the promise? Oh, you'll know it when you get to the promise. There's a whole wilderness we have to go through to get there first. It's a dry place. You might be surrounded by people, but you can often feel lonely in that place. Because God's working on you. It's really about you. And God is preparing us in that wilderness to get to the promise. And what is that wilderness experience about? It's all about our relationship with God and priorities. And that's where we actually start the message. Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. Now, he's not just talking about the 10 Commandments. You don't skate just because you obey the 10 Commandments. He said, I want to teach you statutes and judgments. So it's more than just the 10 Commandments. Well, how much more? It's not about rules and regulations. It's about relationship. When you have a good relationship, you don't need rules and regulations. Because there's a natural flow. There's unity, there's harmony. But he wants us to understand that there's limits to what we can do, what we can't do. Just like with your children. They know, or they should know, where the border is. They can go up to here, but if they go past that, they got a problem. And God's doing the same thing with his people. And he's doing the same thing with us. He's telling us what we can do, what we can't do. But it's safer just to do the right thing. Verse 15, take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves. He said, listen to me. For you saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb, out of the midst of the fire. He said, when God spoke to you out of the midst of the fire, you didn't see a face. You didn't see something that you could recognize as something you could draw. Verse 16, why? Why didn't you see something you could draw? Lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female. So I don't want you making any images, any sculptures like this. He said, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. In other words, I don't want you making pictures of anything to do with me. No idols. Why? Verse 13, lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, should be driven to worship them, to serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So he's saying, there's no images here. I don't want you making any pictures of me. I'm not going to give you anything to make pictures of. Why? Verse 20, the clincher. But the Lord hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace. He's talking about the smelter. See, most metal is in an ore. And you have to melt it in the fire. And then the oxidized part, they call it the slag, all the refuse, boils to the top. They skim that off. They pour it out. And it's pure metal. The iron furnace. He says, I have taken you, brought you forth out of the iron furnace. The iron furnace was, of course, Egypt. Now, that's kind of a strange, you need some explanation there. Most people would. The iron furnace is the place where God turns up the heat on us. Where's that? A place of difficulty. There's something that's a problem. And everybody's got some kind of problem in their life. And it's all about taking you out of the world, out of Egypt. See, why do people come to God? It's real simple. They come to God because everything else didn't work. He's the counselor of last resort. Everybody tries everything until everything doesn't work, and they say, well, I might as well try Jesus. I tried everything else and it didn't really work. He doesn't mind being last just as long as he's in the row. He wants us to have him in the row because sooner or later we're going to end up at his desk. So we come to him in the midst of this fire when we're feeling the heat. And that can be relational, family, friends. That can be health. It can be financial. It really doesn't matter. But God knows the best way to get to get a hold of us. And that's the place where he says, okay, he turns up the heat so that we turn to him. If everybody's happy, everything's going good, why would anybody turn to God? It's like, I'm fine. What do I need God for? I was asked that one time by a girl I went to high school with, I saw in university. And she asked me, are you saved? I was raised Roman Catholic. And she was too. And she asked me if I was saved. And I looked at her and said, well, from what? I was Catholic. I got saved after that. And then I always come back to think about that. And it's like, I was sincere, but I was sincerely wrong. I'm not on the case of Catholics, and that's not the issue. I'm talking about where I was at. Okay. So, we can be sincere and be sincerely wrong. But God does turn up the heat to draw us out of the world, out of Egypt. Because in Egypt, we do the same thing over and over because everybody else does it. And then sometimes we expect a different result, but it doesn't work because nothing works in the world. So he says, I brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt. That's the world where the heat gets turned up. To be unto him a people of inheritance as you are this day. He says, I drew you out of Egypt to bring you into the promised land so that you can inherit the promise that I have for you. And the promise is big. It's everything. It's everything you could possibly ask for. You want a house, you want a car, that stuff is small potatoes for God. Why is it small potatoes to him? Because he says, the gold is mine, the silver is mine, all of it. The whole world is mine. He said, the cattle on 1,000 hills, it's all mine. How do we know that? Because people come and people go, and it still belongs to God. I think of that when it talks in the Old Testament how God told the Israelis to go and ask for the Egyptians to borrow gold before they left. And they borrowed scads and whole bunches of this. And he said, but how can that be borrowing if you're leaving the country and you're not coming back? I was like, this is strange. But of course, if the Egyptians didn't own it and the Israelis didn't own it, then all they can do is borrow it, can't they? They can't own it. So whatever you got, it's borrowed. When you buy it, it's still borrowed. Nothing belongs to you. Your life belongs to you. And that's only for a short time, by which I mean your body. Everything's on loan. We're all on loan. So he says, it all belongs to him. So giving you anything is no big deal. So why doesn't he give you more? You want more. Why doesn't he give you more? Because he's not going to give you what you can't handle. By which I mean, his relationship with you is more important to him than what you have or you don't have. So he's going to give you as much as you can handle, but he's not going to give you more. Because he knows that if he gives you more than you can handle, you're going to blow up. He's interested in taking good care of you. Now your children, if you indulge them too much, what happens? They get spoiled brats. And at some point, it comes to a place where you can't give them enough. I know people that are angry today because although they're blessed, they can't see it. All they can see is they don't have. Well, that's just like a spoiled brat just growing up, that's all. Nobody likes those kind of people. I don't like, they're always miserable because they always feel like they're coming up short, like they don't have enough. Give thanks. Give thanks for what you do. And then God will be able to give you more. But when you're all tied up about the stuff, he can't give you more. Why is that? We come back to the issue of icon, of idol here. How do we tie that in? Well, it's like this. He said, I don't want you making pictures of me. Because sooner or later, you're going to worship the picture and not worship me. That's exactly what happens. And it happened all over the New Testament. We know that. In the Old Testament, we see that. You say, but I don't make pictures of Jesus and worship pictures. But we do make pictures of idols. What do I mean? You look through magazines, it's full of things they want you to adopt as an idol. What do I mean? You see cars, and they want that to get into your head. It's like, I gotta have that car. I really gotta have that car. Because it's gonna make me look like, boom, whatever. And I gotta have these accessories. And I gotta have this color. And then I need this and that. And it's like, it's all about, and it gets into your head. And it's the image in your head. It's the picture in your head, the idol. Because you already got a picture of this. And you with this thing. And sometimes it's not a car. It could be a house. It could be, it could be a member of the opposite sex. It's like, I really need a husband like this. And he's going to be this, and he's going to be that, and he's going to be rich, and he's going to be handsome, and he's going to be witty, he's going to be, it's like, oh, okay. I don't know where these people live, but anyway, you might have to have more than one to have it all, but you get my point. They don't exist. It doesn't exist. I hate to say it, but no man is that good, okay? No man's that good. I'm not going to touch the ladies, on the other hand, either. Because I'm in the line of fire here. My wife's right in the front row. The point is, they're always selling, you notice they're selling you more pictures than anything. Pictures of cars. And then the women, they always like to have them half-dressed. Even though the ads is like, okay, so what does a half-naked woman got to do laying on the hood of a car? I mean, I've never really looked for that as a hood ornament. It's like, well, what are you going to do with a woman on the hood of your car? So why do they got her there? They're obviously selling something. This is sexy. The ladies like this. So you need to buy this car. Yes, men really are that stupid, okay? You notice? They never have a man sitting on the hood of the car. It's like, there's a reason for that, okay? Men are much more visual than women are. It's like, in fact, they'd probably get a woman angry if she saw a man sitting on the roof, on the hood of her car, okay? It's like, well, get that slob off my car. Unless it's going to change you, oh, get off my car. This is reality, okay? But we come back. The concept is about idols. And the idols, and we say, well, I don't have any idols in my house, but you probably harbor them in your head someplace. The thing that you look at and say, I really got to buy that. I got to figure out some way to get it. But I got to have that. It's like you just already got an idol in your head. If it's in your head and you're thinking about it all the time, it's an idol. And that's a problem. Because God's got a problem with him and idols. It's like, no, I can't have any idols. I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no gods before me. Remember, that's the first commandment. No other. So it's like he's got a problem with idols. And that's why I said in the third one, you can't make any images of me. Third commandment. Can't do images. Third or fourth commandment. Anyway, it's like you can't do images. Now I noticed when I grew up, they had lots of pictures of Jesus and Mary and stuff, and that's a commandment they just conveniently left out until I read it in the Bible. And then the 10th commandment became the 9th and 10th commandment. So it's kind of covered it up, but it's like, it still comes down to what it is. It's all about idols. You're not going to go to hell because you've got a poster in there with someone who represents someone in the Bible. Because I'm sure you don't go there every day and pray to that picture. But that isn't our problem. Our problem is the idol in our heads. What are the things we got in our heads we can't let go of? That perfect man, that perfect car, that perfect house. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's in your head, it's going to mess you up. And that's my message for today. The meter just ran out. Okay.